Hi, Michelle. Thank you for being the very first guest of season 4 of Think Theo. And you and I haven't even really had a chance to get to know each other. So I'm going to say this is my first guest in my podcast studio. You're the first one in this room virtually. And I'm just so happy that you clicked on the sign up form and happy that you're here. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Michelle Trieste.
Thank you, Theo. I'm so excited to be part of your whole new, it's a big deal. You hit 50 and it's a big milestone. And I think that you're just, the way you're kicking this off in the season is a beautiful thing. Your 50 Shadows.
Thank you so much. Thanks for reading that.
It just, it made me just reflect and feel inspired that, remind myself and everyone else that every year is a new shadow and gives us time to look at that, the past, and then think about what we want our next year to be like, because we never know how much time we have or, take care of ourselves. So thank you. And talking about that with shadows, that's what brings me to where I am now. I'm 55. I'm the speed limit in Connecticut, I like to say. And after 50, it is so true. Like, you really take the time to reflect. And for me, my children are grown. So I've come to the table and said, okay, how can I help other women kind of fight their way through some of the challenging times in life? When my children were growing up, I was always involved in activities, helping people. But now I just want to help women make their way through the difficulties in life through speaking or groups, facilitating groups. And so that's why I've gone on this endeavor. I've created a website and started to do speaking engagements and things. I used to do a lot through church. Okay. And I led church groups, whether it was small group ministry. I was a Stephen minister for about 5 years and led the group. And I don't know if you know what Stephen ministry is.
No, explain that to me, because my dad's a retired minister.
I know. I thought that would, well, it basically helps ministers and priests, because there's only so much time a minister or priest has to spend with people when they're going through challenges.
Yes.
Whether it's death, loss of job, divorce, all kinds of health challenges. And so what a Stephen minister does is they spend about an hour a week with someone and just listens to them. Just listens to the process and go through things. And we'll meet with someone up to 2 years.
And what is it called again?
Stephen ministry.
Stephen?
Yes, Stephen, as in
the apostle?
Yes, the apostle Stephen. And so it used to be, I think, just like congregational churches, and then it grew. So it depends on your area. But it grew and it went to the Catholic and to the Baptist. So all the different churches, Presbyterian.
That is so important. My dad always said that he thought somebody could make a career out of, they could have a business where they send people out, and this is similar to nursing homes, just to listen to people. Just somebody to go sit with your family member and listen to them as long as they want to talk, and take a notebook with you and take some notes, because there's some real good stories in there that we're not hearing anymore because nobody's visiting these people.
Yes, yes. And the Stephen minister may come to you wherever you are, or you would meet with them. Always the sexes are matched up, women to women, men to men.
Yes.
But it's a wonderful community outreach. And
do you still do that?
So I just wanted to create a program that could go outside into the community, into the world more, because I felt like I learned so much. God showed me so much in the church. I was like 15 years, I just was in all different programs and trainings, and I really wanted to bring that into the community, more out into the world.
That's so wonderful.
Buddhist practices and the Sufis, the Muslim, there's so many wonderful things that we have access to learn. But if we don't bring it to other and help others, then we're really not sharing the gift that God gave us.
Yeah, exactly. And I had this conversation with a girlfriend over the weekend, and we talked about how, and my dad was a non-denominational minister. We talked about how God, and I'm a Christian, so I believe in his son, Jesus Christ. But so many of the rigmarole or the things that have been added, and you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to, that's all man-made. And we really just need to get back to the fundamental gospel, the basics. And that's the same in all religions, like you mentioned, Buddha and the other one you mentioned there, that it's all the same. Is the overwhelming common denominator in all of this is love.
Exactly. I love the mystics. I like to read the mystics, really go back to the desert kind of teachers back before it was really kind of formatted. And so a lot of the mystics, so that's pretty much what I try to follow, so I don't get kind of lost in becoming part of a certain club or group.
True. So when you're asked to speak, what are some of the key things that you speak on? Like, just give me like one, what's your favorite speaking topic, and what's your favorite audience, your ideal audience and topic?
I really enjoy talking with women, because sometimes as women, we feel bad about when things have gone wrong in our lives, and we don't want to share them. Sometimes people don't know how to accept them, how to deal with them. So we kind of hide in the shadows. And so what I like to do is talk with women and share with them, it's okay, crap happens and you can make your way through it. But it's important to shine a light on yourself and let the light come out in you. And, one thing that men do teach us is, and that's why I love both sides of what, God gave all of us, is our masculine and feminine. And if we take out the shame of it and the emotional judging part, that we can make our way through it. But we have to go through the emotions and feel them and not sit in guilt, or when other people don't seem like they know how to handle the thing that we're going through. That we sometimes have to find a strength ourselves and just say, it's okay, like self-soothe and just say, this is what's going on. It's a sickness I'm going through, or a job loss, or a divorce. It's not something that you can catch, okay? You can come near me and listen, but you're not going to catch it, And
I thought about that. Yes, I thought about that yesterday. Grief is a disease, but it's not contagious.
Yes.
I mean, grief is not a virus, and I can't give my grief to somebody, and there's no medicine that can make you better. Sure, they've got the antidepressants and all that, but that's just masking. That's just helping your symptoms.
Exactly. You need to go through it.
Yes, it's still going to work its way out. And the title of season 4 is Music is Healing. So is there any way that music has helped you in your ministry, in your speaking? Tell me how music might have affected you.
So music has, probably like many people, followed me through my life. And I'm a girl of the 80s.
Oh, me too. I love all 80s music at my birthday party last week.
Oh, good. And it's so funny how it's all coming back, right? Like,
yes.
I mean, I love Miley Cyrus. And I love how she's like, help bringing back all that music from Madonna to which Pat Benatar. I mean, she's just like bringing it all back. And,
I didn't even realize that. Does she have some songs out that I need to listen to?
Oh, totally. You have to look. She is just remaking, and she's connecting with, what was the, I think I read her name, Stevie Nicks. Like, she's redoing a lot of music that we grew
Okay,
up
I'll
with.
check that out.
And she's bringing it back in. It's like, damn, no, we were like, that was our thing back then, you know, Wonder Woman, like all that's back now.
Yes.
So it's very inspiring, and it's through music. So yes, look her up. But when Grace Jones was one that, when I was younger, remember La Vie en Rose when she came out with that one? I don't know if you remember that.
I don't know if I
But
remember
that made
that.
me, that was one song that when I heard it in French, the French portions of that music, of that song, I was like, oh. So I liked that song, and I met this man in a bar. Anyway, I ended up getting involved with him. A couple months later, I found out pregnant.
Oh,
and
wow.
And we had drug dealers chasing us all of a sudden. Like, he was a swindler.
Oh, no.
So he's like, we have to leave the country. And I'm like, I'm 21 years old. I'm like, okay, this is like what you see on TV.
Yeah.
So, I ended up in France. And when I tried to leave him, he stole the child, had the child, and he stole her and brought her to Romania.
Whoa.
And there's my La Vie en Rose, right?
Yeah.
So I got to go to travel to France, but it wasn't your normal trip. So I was 3.5 years in France and Romania.
Wow.
And that brings to my second song that comes to mind. We're talking about music, is American Woman. Remember the original American Woman? What was saying? Oh, the Guess Who? No, before him, the Guess Who.
Who?
Go back and look on YouTube. It's the original, before Lenny Kravitz. This is from like the late 70s, 80s. The Guess Who. So Google it up. And but people would sing this song to me all the time in France. It was the coolest thing. They loved. They were just like, they'd hear my accent. I learned French as I was living there, and they'd start singing American Woman, or they'd sing the Beatles song Michelle to me. So that, for me, being associated with music was very grounding to me, even though I was in the middle of some really crazy, hectic times.
And that's what it does. Yeah, it brings us back. It can bring us back to a time, and we all of a sudden feel like we're back when that song, where we first heard that song.
All right. Did you want to continue, or do you want to start over? Or
no, we can cut and paste and figure this out. And sometimes just letting people know how real we are, that, hey, it's not a perfect podcast. There's little hiccups. So we just had a mess up, and we're back. And she's talking about you were on your American Woman, and then you were on the next one.
Yeah. So people would sing to me in France when they'd meet me. They'd sing American Woman, or they'd sing Michelle from the Beatles. Yes, it made me really feel special, and it helped me not feel like I was an outsider coming to Europe. I mean, that's why when people ask, oh, what was it like to live in France with the French people? I was like, they were so welcoming to me. They were just so wonderful. And another thing that I discovered was when I was, pregnant or whatever, like the women there were so comfortable in their bodies. And that was really nice. That was something I learned about the French woman. As they got older, they got better. They really did. So that was, I learned a lot because I was in my 20s. I was 21. I was there for 3.5 years.
Wow.
And then my husband at the time, we married when my daughter was 1 there in France. He got out of jail. He went to jail for something, some kind of swindling thing he did. And I was so afraid to leave him that I said, I'll wait until he gets out, then maybe he won't be so angry, because he had hit me. And I was just so fearful. I didn't have any money to my name or anything. He would have his buddies kind of come and give me a little bit of money here and there, but that was it. And then when I tried it, when he got out, he, again, you know, punched me. And then I said, you know, you can keep the child for one night. I'm not trying to keep you away from our child. I just want to go back to America, and I'll let you visit with her, whatever it is. And he said, okay, just let me have the night with her and spend the night. I let him spend the night with her, and he stole her. And I came back the next morning. He's like, she's gone. I said, where'd she go? She's not here. So then a couple weeks later, he lets me know she's there with him in Romania.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I had a couple $100 on me, and I took the train and slept in a train station, made my way to Romania. And then when I got there, he beat me so bad and kicked my ribs, and I was bound for like a week in bed. And he said, this is, you know, you're supposed to be a mother to your daughter, and so that's what you're going to do. So I ended up in Romania, and it took me another 3.5 years for an opportunity to leave with my daughter.
Oh,
and
good.
By that time, I had another child, because I really wanted my daughter to have a sibling, because I didn't know if I was going to make it out alive, because we were in there, living in the country. He kind of gained more power and more momentum in his dealings, whatever he was doing. So, you know, I had to wait for an opportunity to escape. And that's when one day he was in Italy, and someone was returning some money. I was putting the money in the safe, and I saw for the first time both girls' passports.
Anyway,
it's
so
really
you
not
saw
bad.
you saw both of your daughter's passports, and it probably shocked you.
Yes, it was both I don't know, not exciting. When I saw both girls' passports, it was scary.
Yeah.
It was very scary, because I was faced with what would it look like if I left.
Yeah.
So that was extremely horrifying, because
Right.
I knew either nothing would be found of me but blood if I was caught leaving.
You've been bound to the bed.
Oh, no, not even that. That would, no, it would be, when you're trying to let someone you've seen blood on their clothing, and you know no one screws with them. This is something that most people don't understand, but you know it's permanent, whatever it would be. So I just, you know, I made a choice of living or dying, and that's what I did. So I made that choice.
So you probably are very helpful when you go out and speak to like women's groups, maybe abused women, or that's probably
well, it's been COVID, so it's been a little hard to do that. So now I'll be doing that. I want to talk to women at shelters, and but it's not just domestic abuse, but sometimes things that hold us hostage are things that we've fallen into, decisions we've made, commitments that we thought were going to be longer term and didn't quite work out. And so there's all different ways we go from hostage to heroin if we, if we really look at our, stop looking at the past and start to say, wow, this is going to change my life, whatever this is, if I change my decision. And sometimes we're fearful to move forward because we don't know what what that looks like. We know what this looks like that we've had, but we don't know what it will look like. And so sometimes that's what keeps us hostage, instead of going into the unknown. So there's different groups I'd like to talk with about facing those fears and moving forward. So.
Right. Yeah. And I just said yesterday in my, a friend of mine said, that's a really good quote. And I was like, oh, it is. Let's write that down. I said, maybe grief holds on to us because we continue to hold on to grief. You know, grief holds on to us as long as we hold on to grief. And because my mom, she died almost 3 years ago in an accident on the family farm. And it's been, like I said, it'll be 3 years in July, and I'm still grieving, or maybe grieving for the first time. And I said, well, I was just kind of talking it out with my friend, and I said, grief holds on to us as long as we hold on to grief.
Definitely.
And so, the same with anything, whatever it is you're grieving, or whatever it is that you've lost, or whatever it is, it's holding you back. It is holding you back. Yes. And that's those dark things that, just like in my 50 Shadows article, those dark things can be considered negative. A shadow is sometimes considered a negative thing, but we can look at those shadows as positive, to push us up and hold us up and show us where we've came from. And all those shadows lined up behind us, how can we not be so powerful?
Yeah. And there, in your poem, your remarks, you said something about, 50 is a milestone. Your shadows are a milestone. And now I love riding motorcycles. Like I
saw that on your website.
And one of the great things is when you're talking about milestones and paths, the wonderful thing is that if you say, okay, this crappy thing, the shitty thing that just happened to me, yes, it's a stake in the road. It's a milestone. It's a marker. But so the mile marker and the road, it's kind of like if we're in our car, and for me, it's in my motorcycle, I look at the mile marker and I say, is there something in that mile marker that I see on the motorcycle? It's nice to stop and take a look at that view, whether it's clouds in the sky over the mountains, or it's the sun, or it's seeing an eagle over the mountains. But then you have to say, okay, it's time to start to move forward in my journey and move on to the next mile marker. And that's the beauty of the freedom to choose to move forward or stay behind. But if you stay at that mile marker and keep looking at that, whatever that scene is, sad or beautiful, it's going to get dark at some point, and you're going to run out of life force. You're going to run out of light. So don't end your journey there at that mile marker. God gave us a life and a light. So, hold on to that moment, but move through the journey and move forward. I think that's what
when you just said that, I thought of that song that I learned as a little girl. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine, yes. Let it shine, let it shine. Yes, and we do have a light, and we do have to let it shine, because there's a lot of people out there, and I have a lot of cutting and pasting to do.
That's life.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Life is a lot of cutting and pasting there. That's
if this podcast would have went perfectly the whole way through, it would, because this happened, it kind of tested our patience and everything, I guess. Thank you so much for joining me and spreading your light.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, like you said, with music, I think is a great, it serves as mantras for us, shine your little light, the song you were just saying, shine your light on me, the child song. And, that's how we can kind of just stay focused on our journey. And that's what music does, helps us. It's like the Stones say, you can't always get what you want to get what
yes.
it is.
That's right. Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for being on Think Theo, season 4, first guest.